I think I hit a nerve or two with my last video on the 2026 Lincoln Cent. Yeah, I've got people calling me names. I got people praising me. I've got people completely agreeing with me, but uh, we're going to talk about it. Interesting. This little tiny coin right here is causing quite a bit of controversy, especially from people not agreeing with me on my opinions because obviously they're only available in the mint sets. And yeah, I mean, wow. Look, I'm tickled to death that people are watching my video. I mean, literally. I mean, we're talking over 2,000 plus views on this, and it obviously has generated some discussion, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But um, look, I stated at the beginning of that video, and if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. But these were my opinions only as to what I see. So, one of the first people to comment was somebody who I've known in the coin industry for a while, and her comment was that I'd made the, I guess, kind of generalization that these coins are pretty much about the same as business strike coins, and she said they're not the same as business strike coins. They're struck on a different press, and that is true. There's two different presses that the mint uses to strike, circulation quality business strike coins. It's a quad press, and it literally presses, millions and millions of coins in rapid succession versus an upright press, which is the one that most people are used to understanding what a press is. That has basically a hammer die on the top and a anvil die on the bottom, and it's an upright press. And these coins are printed on the upright press rather than the large circulating one. They're printed with a little bit more pressure to try and produce a little bit better quality coin. And so I agree with her comment. What I don't agree with is the fact that if these coins, all 300,000 of them, are pressed on a printing, a minting press, I guess, a coin press, that the coin should turn out to be really good quality. All 300,000 of them should be really nice quality. Don't you agree? If they're only making 300,000 of them and they're making them strictly for collectors, then these coins should be good quality coins. And unfortunately, in looking at some of the population reports of some of the first ones being graded and slabbed at PCGS and NGC, the population reports are pretty skewed. The whole bell curve thing. I had this discussion with another person via text that I basically pointed out that, look, it's the same thing, I guess, to a certain degree with the coins, the 2025 Privy Mint Mark coins and stuff like that. I mean, nothing graded exceptionally high with those Privy Mint Mark coins. And my apologies, I got my neighbor mowing his lawn and stuff like that. But nothing really came about with really high quality coins for these. And that's kind of frustrating when you're talking about the copper coins that we want to see in our collections. And the same goes for these 300,000 of these dual date Lincoln cents. Look, if they're going to produce only 300,000 of them, print them, make them, press them, whatever you want to call it, make them good quality coins that people really want to put in their collection. If you're going to charge that much money compared to last year's prices for mint sets versus this year's prices for mint sets, and it's all because of that Lincoln cent, look, make it worth their while. That's pretty much all I'm saying. Make it worth their while. And the average collector can't really afford $124 for a mint set. And if they could, obviously, that's great if they can afford it. But if they can't afford that amount of money, then those mint sets go to only the people that can afford them. I talked to one person and he said, yeah, I bought 10 sets of them. Well, look, 10 sets at $124, that's $1,200. It's a lot of money. And not that the average collector doesn't want to collect these coins. It's the average collector can't afford to shell out that much money. I mean, there's people going to these coin shows that are just average everyday Joes that want to buy these coins. So let's talk about some of the comments that I got and how directed I guess they were, and some of them were downright kind of almost snarky. Yeah, let's talk about some of these. All right, well, here's a good one for you to start with. Idiots doing the idiotic had to say, "What a Debbie Downer." So what if they're NIFC, in other words, not intended for circulation? Same with Eagles. Do you have a problem with those too? 300,000 is a low mintage in this context. If you want a full collection of cents, you must have the 26 P and D, or is this just sour grapes because you didn't get in on the secondary action? Look, it's not sour grapes, has nothing to do with sour grapes. And comparing the Lincoln cent to the Eagles is not the same. Why? Because the Eagles have never, ever been for circulation. They're a bullion coin. It's that simple. And so they have never been intended for circulation. It's not like you can take an eagle someplace and actually spend it. Whereas with a Lincoln cent out of the mint sets, you can actually take a couple of those coins out of the mint sets and go spend them for face value, which is also something that somebody kind of chastised me for a little bit. Well, they're not worth face value. They are if you spend them. It's that simple. If you take those coins out of that mint set, the 2026 P&D Lincoln cent, you take them over to a store and you turn them in for something. They are not going to give you the numismatic value for them. They're going to give you the face value for them. So, yeah, not the same thing with Eagles. Let's try another one. All right. Slick, sick one. A lot of people buy these because they like them, not for an investment. I think you're missing the point of collecting. Why did you waste money on that telescope in the background when you can look at the moon and the stars on your computer? Really? That telescope in the background, anybody want to know why it's actually there? It's there because it was a gift. And it's there to remind me that, my dad actually used to really enjoy astronomy. And my dad's actually the one who got me collecting coins. And when I make these videos, it's kind of like having my dad over there in the corner with me. It's kind of cool, really. And then that's why that telescope is over there. As far as I'm missing the point on this, no, I'm not missing the point. I understand that people want to collect these. That's the whole point of this entire video, is that the average everyday person wants to collect these, but they can't afford them. So I don't agree with the mint's pricing because the average person wants to collect these. All right, here's one. Had to comment on your friend telling you not to chase modern coins. Well, it's bad advice, in my opinion. You see, back in the year 1909 SVDB cents were modern. So it would have been a big mistake to not buy modern coins then, and it will be now and in the future. Oh, and there will always be unfound hordes of coins of any year and mint. Nothing new there. Hmm. Okay, let's try and unpack this one a little bit here. Um, First of all, the reason the collector told me not to chase modern coins is because, like he mentioned at the end, there's going to be hordes of coins that come to light. And the biggest difference between 1909 and 2026 is grading services. Yeah. In 1909, they didn't have grading service. Matter of fact, the first grading service I don't think came to light until like somewhere around 1972, something like that, 75, somewhere in there. ANACS. And yeah, um, not the same. Definitely not the same. The reason why the gentleman told me not to chase modern coins is case in point. I have a bunch of 1954 Lincoln cents, which, by the way, is a very, very difficult coin to get in a MS67 grade. And I have four of them in 67 grade. Well, from a pricing standpoint, they're worth a fair amount of money. The problem is nobody wants to pay what they're worth right now because there's always a possibility someone's going to find more MS67 1954s. And same thing happens when you're talking about these 2026 cents. Look, who's going to want to buy an MS68 when all of a sudden maybe there were 20 or 30 or 40 MS68 pluses or MS69s that show up on the population reports in the coming years? I mean, after all, there's 300,000 of these things out there, right? So that could happen. And when those high numbers show up in the pops, high up on the population report, it makes the ones further down less valuable. So if you spent $1,000 on an MS68 thinking you were great because there were only 80 of them graded at that particular point in time, and then that whole bell curve changes things, and now your $1,000 coin only has a value of $300. Yeah, you're going to have sour grapes. Here's one that I actually really agree with, and this is probably the best way to end this video. Now, everybody obviously has been picking on me up one side and down the other, but this guy, he's got it dialed in. And Thomas, I give you credit because you got probably some of the best advice. I think I commented back that I really like the way you think. And so here it is. Here's the most likely way that this will shake out. Likely there will be a handful of PCGS examples that grade out MS70. Those will transact for four figures. MS69s will be around 150, 68s about $60 a coin, and below that it's basically a worthless or worth less than fees. Grading this coin is an expensive lottery ticket with a mediocre payout. If you want nice slabbed examples, I would recommend waiting and buying MS68 P and D in a couple of years. Yeah, you know what? That right there is the best way to do it because, right now it's a lottery ticket. 68 P and D in a couple of years. Maybe you buy some 68s and they're $40 a piece, and you got 68s to add to your collection. Maybe they're $20 a piece. Who knows? All I'm saying is, look, don't go diving in. Let's end this video here. Just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, end of the video. Best thing to say here, look, I'm glad I ruffled feathers. I'm glad people commented. There were over 60 comments on this one video, and I love it when people comment. I gained a few new subscribers, which is always great. I'm not doing this for the money. Obviously, I don't have enough subscribers in order to do that. I don't have enough hours and watch time to generate any cash flow whatsoever on this, and I probably won't for a long time. But I do this because there's a passion inside of me, that there is also a passion inside of the average everyday collector. That's what this is all about. The average everyday collector, not the guy who's got millions of dollars at his disposal and can buy 10 sets of something or whatever the case might be. It's got nothing to do with that. I mean, that guy's just, they've got a lot of money. That's great. They can buy what they want. Nothing wrong with that. This is about the average collector and making sure the average collector can add to their collection, and add to their collection reasonably. Obviously, everybody wants a valuable coin, but like one guy said, you're missing the point when it comes to collecting. It's about the collecting. And to all the people out there with a lot of money, yeah, look, I'm glad you can buy all the coins. That's great. You can buy all the great quality coins. But for us average everyday people that can't buy a $20,000 coin here or a $30,000 coin there, it's the average coins that make us the happiest when we go to a coin show and we're able to pick up a really fun coin or something to upgrade what we already have. And that was the whole point of the very first video: completing a collection, adding to it. If they're going to mint these coins and they're going to mint them only for collectors, then darn it, the mint better do a better job at actually minting those coins and making them worth collecting, rather than just average circulation quality coins, 64s, 65s, 66s, Yeah, well, thanks for watching. If you've liked the video, hit the subscribe button. I do appreciate it. Hit the like button if you liked it. And if you disliked it, well, it's fine. You can hit a dislike button too. That's perfectly fine too. But look, I prefer that you hit the like button and watch more of my videos and learn something. Have a good evening, everybody. Sorry for the birds in the background. They've been in their cage most of the day, and I think they're just excited to be out. So we'll talk to you later. Have a good night.